Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. This is week 249, I believe. I could be quite wrong. If I am wrong on the exact week that we're on, I do apologize. I've been super busy. Life's been kind of crazy here lately. Not to the point that I cannot sub in like what I'm doing right now, which I am once again subbing in for Corvus. I hope you're doing okay. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family, man. It'll be great to, see you when you get back, when you're able to record videos on here again during your regularly scheduled programs here on Wednesdays here on Starting Out Solitaire. But, of course, I'm subbing in for him, Blind Rob here. This week, we are talking about counseling and spirituality, counseling and paganism, counseling and polytheism, what have you. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know how to cover this. Okay, so let me think fast. Think real fast. Okay, so I think it would be great if we had more like professional counselors who were of various different polytheistic, pagan, polytheist, pagan, different spiritual traditions. I know that can find some of them in more polytheistic, or the more like what's the word? Structured religions. Like, you'll find various polytheistic, pagan, witchy, so on and so forth, like organizations, traditions, and they will have counselors. Some of them will have counselors that either have their own schooling, their own training, or were provided training by said organizations. So you will find them occasionally. But as far as just a professional counselor, like that's a non-religious counselor who might just so happen to be religious, it'd be kind of interesting. On one hand, I think it'd be interesting because you would be able to add in sort of a spiritual component or aspect, or potentially add a spiritual component or aspect to the therapy, to the counseling. Whether or not that would actually be good or not, that would depend on a lot of different things. That would depend on the person seeking counseling or counseling or therapy. That would depend on the particular techniques that were being used. It would also depend on the kind of tradition. Because, contrary to what I know a lot of people may think, or at least a lot of the people that I've talked to with similar conversations such as this one in the past, I know a lot of people out there think, not all, obviously, but a lot, think that, well, if you just get someone who just happens to be like a generic or general neo-pagan, well, they'll be able to cover just about anyone. Not necessarily. One thing that I have learned as a diviner, I know it's not the same thing, but just bear with me here. As a diviner and trying to do professional divination, if your spirituality, if your tradition, if your beliefs is very specific, and you seek help, you seek professional help, whatever form that may take, from someone who their tradition, their beliefs, their ideals are so removed from yours, so distant from yours, it's not going to help. And I can only imagine that also applying to counseling. You go to a counselor who might be spiritual, and also even if they advertise, hey, I am pagan or I am witchy, so what? That's just that most of the time that is just the tip of the iceberg of exactly what that means, because those terms can mean so many different things. What kind of pagan? What kind of witch? What tradition? Are you eclectic? Do you come from a particular tradition? Do you focus on certain cultures? Are you a polytheist? Are you a pantheist? Are you an atheist? All these things kind of matter, and I can only imagine that if you're seeking counseling and you're trying to find a counselor who so happens to be spiritual, well, it might not be a good fit. Now, not necessarily having to do with counseling. When I got married years ago, I tried to find a priestess to officiate the marriage, and thankfully we were able to find someone. Now, they were Wiccan. I'm not Wiccan. Even when Neo-Druidry was the primary focus of my spirituality, which is not anymore. I still practice neo-Druidry as like one aspect of the Irish side of my spirituality, the Irish half, if you will. But it's sort of kind of at the outskirts, the borders of my spirituality, my spiritual focus. But when I sought out a priestess, she was Wiccan. I'm not. I've never been Wiccan. In fact, there's not anything that I can honestly think of that, of my practice, past or present, that has been, influenced by Wicca. So when interacting with this priestess, the only reason it really worked was because we could agreed on the deity. We agreed on Breege, because it was very much a Brigidine focused wedding. So even though a lot of the traditions that she brought to the ceremony was way out of my depth, had nothing to do with me or my practice, it still kind of worked, because at the end of the day, the deity in focus, was the right deity. Now, can that be the same that could be said for, say, if you're seeking counseling and someone so happens to be spiritual, if they're advertising that publicly, or if they're just letting you know, for one reason or another. Maybe you went there, maybe you had some spiritual jewelry, and they saw that, and they understood what it meant, and they clicked, because that happens occasionally in the professional world. You run into someone along the way, and they see your jewelry, you see their jewelry, and you go, oh, well, is that just a fashion statement, or do they so happen to be of this particular form of spirituality? Are they this kind of religious? Excuse me. But it's just things that you need to keep in mind. Would it be great if there were a lot more spiritual counselors, spiritual professionals? Yes, it would. But then there's all sorts of other things that you have to keep in mind. There would be the need to be all kinds of spiritual counselors. If they wanted to add a spiritual component to their counseling, then they would need to either advertise the fact that, as far as the spiritual component to their counseling, their therapy goes, that they're of this particular tradition, or they're a specialist with these kinds of spiritualities. Or otherwise, they're going to have to get tons and tons and tons of training in all kinds of different things. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone is hardwired for that kind of thing. They don't have the energy or the effort or the I can't think of the right word. They just, for so many different reasons, it's just not something that they can handle, that they can manage, and that's okay. There's so much more I want to say, but honestly, I was not prepared to do this video, and I do apologize about that. I just found out last night that I had to fill in, and like I said, things have been a little bit crazy for me. Not too bad. Just getting my own spiritual life together, working on some own personal projects, and but as always, it's great being able to chat with all you like this, to sub in when I can. I hope that this video helps a little bit. Just some thoughts off the top of my head and from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, until I talk to you all again next time when I'm needed to sub in for someone, may Bridge bless. Take care. Have a good one.